What if I told you there exists a technique so ancient and powerful that reality itself is compelled to obey when you master it? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract success effortlessly while you continue to struggle despite trying with all your might? What you're about to discover goes far beyond what you've been taught about manifestation and the law of attraction. We're talking about knowledge that has been carefully guarded for centuries, passed down meticulously through generations and revealed only to those who were prepared to receive it. And today, that knowledge comes to you. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. The universe, in all its magnificence, operates through precise and immutable laws, as exact as mathematics, as reliable as the sunrise. Has this ever happened to you? You've set intentions, created vision boards, recited affirmations, yet the results seem perpetually out of reach? That's because there's a profound difference between hoping something will happen and knowing it with absolute certainty. Think about it. A master musician doesn't plead with their instrument to produce music. They simply play with absolute certainty, with unshakable confidence in the result. That same power resides within you, waiting to be awakened. Most of us have been conditioned to believe in constant effort and persistent struggle as the only path to achievement. Work hard and you'll succeed, we've been told. But what if I told you this approach is precisely what keeps you trapped in patterns of limitation? Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share could completely transform your relationship with your desires and reality itself. The sacred technique we're going to explore together completely transcends the popular law of attraction. While the law of attraction is based on desire, on wanting to visualize and wait, this higher law operates on a much more elevated frequency, where possibility transforms instantly into inevitability. Do you know the fundamental difference? Belief says, I believe this will happen someday. Certainty, on the other hand, declares with quiet authority, this is. There is no space for doubt, no room for uncertainty. And it's precisely this quality of absolute knowing that bends reality in your favor. What you're about to discover might surprise you because the universe, dear friend, doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. This distinction may seem subtle, but it contains the power to unlock everything you've been seeking. If you've found value in these insights, hit the subscribe button to join our community of conscious creators. Each video is designed to help you unlock more of your unlimited potential. When you observe closely those situations that repeat in your life, you begin to see the perfect reflection of your subconscious programming. Nothing happens by coincidence. Nothing is bad luck. Everything is a precise mirror of the frequency you're emitting. The hidden truth behind this revelation completely changes the rules of achievement that society has conditioned us to follow. You see, most of us have been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about how transformation truly works. We've been taught that success comes from pushing harder, working longer hours, and sacrificing more. But this mindset of constant struggle is precisely what keeps us trapped in cycles of limitation. It's a shocking realization. The very approach meant to liberate us has become our prison. The journey toward authentic manifestation begins when you recognize that the universe, that infinite intelligence permeating everything, isn't responding to your superficial positive affirmations. It responds to the energy emanating from the depths of your being. This is where many encounter their most challenging obstacle. Imagine standing in front of the mirror each morning repeating, I am successful, I am prosperous, I am abundant. While deep in your energetic field vibrates a completely different frequency saying, I am not enough, I don't deserve this will never work for me. What do you think the universe will reflect? Back into your reality? Exactly that contradiction. And this isn't a criticism, it's a revelation that can free you. The most impactful decisions you'll ever make aren't the ones you make consciously, but those you make at that invisible level, in that energetic field constantly communicating with the universe. Think of it as a radio transmission. You can say whatever you want into the microphone, but if the frequency is incorrectly tuned, the message will never reach its destination. Now, I want to share something truly transformative about the language the universe understands. It's not English, Spanish, or Mandarin. The universe speaks a much older and more fundamental language, the language of absolutes. This crucial aspect will completely change the impact of your intentions. When light travels, does it stop to contemplate whether it will reach its destination? No, it simply arrives. When rain falls, does it question its descent? No, it simply falls. This is the language of creation itself, the original dialect we've forgotten how to speak. The problem is that most of us have been speaking to the universe with a tone of doubt, hesitation, anxiety. I hope I get that job. I wish I could find my ideal partner. Maybe someday I'll have enough money. When we use that language, we create static in the cosmic frequency. It's like trying to tune a radio station between two frequencies. You'll only hear noise. The universe recognizes only one frequency, that of "it is done." Not "it will be," not "I hope," not "I wish," but the unshakable knowledge that what you desire already exists. It's that mental state where certainty is so complete that waiting becomes unnecessary. Behind the scenes of every successful manifestation, you'll always find this same pattern. Someone who spoke to the universe not from lack or need, but from fullness and certainty. And this mindset isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's your birthright, your essential nature that has remained hidden beneath layers of conditioning. The real revolution in your life will begin when you start dismantling those inherited patterns and reclaim your innate ability to communicate with the universe in its native language. This doesn't require years of spiritual practice. It can happen in an instant, in that moment of clarity where you finally recognize you've been operating from a paradigm that was never truly yours. I want to go even deeper into this topic because there's a fascinating aspect of how these patterns manifest in our daily experience. When you carefully observe recurring situations in your life, you start to see the perfect reflection of your subconscious programming. Nothing is coincidence, nothing is bad luck, everything is a precise mirror of the frequency you're emitting. If you feel that what I'm sharing resonates with something you've experienced in your own life, write in the comments, "I am awakening to the language of the universe." The most revolutionary truth in this journey of awakening is that the reality, that tangible experience we call life, responds absolutely not to what you do, but solely to who you are. This revelation completely changes the rules of the game. Think about the great masters and leaders who have left an indelible mark on history. What distinguished them wasn't their incessant activity or constant effort. It was their presence. They didn't try to influence reality. Their very existence altered it. When they entered a room, the atmosphere changed, not because they were doing anything special, but because they had cultivated a state of being so powerful that it radiated like a magnetic force field. This is the hidden truth behind all authentic transformation. Most of us are trapped in a perpetual state of wanting. We want more money, we want better health, we want satisfying relationships. And precisely this state of wanting constantly reinforces the absence of what we seek. It's like telling the universe, "I don't have this, please give it to me." And the universe, faithful to its mirror-like nature, returns exactly that, more experience of not having. Masters, on the other hand, have discovered the secret. They live in a state of being. They don't chase their desires. They become living embodiments of them. They aren't trying to manifest abundance. They are abundance itself, walking, breathing, existing. And it's this quality of being that makes reality bend before them. Not through some mystical power, but through precise application of universal law. Behind the scenes of this mindset lies a profound understanding of the quantum mechanics of existence. When you change your internal vibratory state, the external world has no choice but to reorganize itself to reflect that new frequency. It's physics, not magic, though the impact may seem magical to those who don't understand the process. What's fascinating is that this shift doesn't require years of spiritual practice or complex disciplines. It can happen in an instant, that crucial moment where you make the decision to stop pursuing and start embodying. Like when a talented actor doesn't pretend to be the character, but becomes them so completely they forget they're acting. In the sacred dance of creation, there exists a threshold, a turning point where all effort dissolves and gives way to pure being. It's that moment when you stop rowing against the current and become the current itself. The struggle ceases, resistance evaporates, and you find yourself in a state of perfect flow where things simply happen through you, not by you. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, doesn't respond to your desires, your pleas, or your affirmations. It responds solely to your internal knowledge. It's not what you want that manifests, but what you know with absolute certainty. And this is the key to the sacred technique we're exploring together. Now, there's a critical insight about why this process can feel so challenging. What very few people understand is that each of us carries thought patterns that don't even belong to us. This is a hidden truth rarely mentioned in conventional personal development circles. These patterns, silently transmitted through generations, act as invisible barriers standing between you and your natural state of abundance. It's as if you've inherited mental programming you didn't even know existed. The journey of transformation begins when you recognize that these thought patterns create limitations that were never truly yours. Think of it like running software on your computer that someone else installed. It's influencing every aspect of your experience, yet you never consciously chose it. Ready to continue this journey of transformation? Subscribe now and become part of a growing community dedicated to mastering the sacred techniques of manifestation. These inherited thought patterns create a perceptual filter through which you view yourself, others, and the world. They determine what you believe is possible, what you deserve, and what you can achieve. The profound revelation is that these limitations aren't facts. They're simply programs running in the background of your consciousness. The liberation comes when you begin to question these inherited beliefs. Is this truly my limitation, or is it a pattern I absorbed from my family, culture, or society? When you trace these limitations to their source, you often discover they have nothing to do with your true potential. They're simply echoes of someone else's experience, someone else's fear, someone else's failure. Your natural state is one of unlimited possibility. Any constraint you experience has been learned, not innate. The universe doesn't recognize the word impossible. It simply responds to the energetic signal you're broadcasting. When you release these inherited patterns, you begin to emit a frequency that aligns with your deepest desires rather than your conditioned limitations. If you recognize that you've been carrying thought patterns that never truly belong to you, write in the comments, "I'm releasing what was never mine." Now, I want to share something truly fundamental about why your manifestations might be blocked despite your best efforts. There's a profound disconnect occurring between what many of us say we want and the energy we're actually broadcasting to the universe. This revelation completely transforms our understanding of why certain techniques work for some, but not for others. Imagine this scenario. You stand in front of the mirror, diligently repeating positive affirmations. Your words declare abundance, success, and fulfillment. Yet deep within your energetic field, there's an entirely different transmission occurring, one of doubt, unworthiness, and quiet resignation. These contradictory signals create what we might call manifestation interference, where your conscious desires and unconscious beliefs are locked in an invisible battle. The universe, that infinite intelligence that orchestrates entire galaxies with perfect precision, doesn't respond to the words you speak. It responds solely to the vibrational signature you emit. This signature isn't created by what you say. It's generated by what you truly believe at your core. The ancient mystics understood this principle when they taught that your outer world is merely a reflection of your inner landscape. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a profound truth. Your energy field extends far beyond your physical body. When you enter a room, your energy arrives before you do. People don't just respond to your words or actions. They respond to this invisible force that surrounds you. The same principle applies to your relationship with the universal consciousness. It's responding not to your requests, but to your resonance. This is why two people can use identical visualization techniques or affirmation practices with dramatically different results. One person's energy field aligns perfectly with their stated desires, while the other's contains hidden contradictions that neutralize their conscious intentions. The journey toward mastery begins with recognizing these contradictions within yourself and bringing them into harmony. But there's another dimension to this process that few teachers ever discuss: the actual language in which the universe communicates. We've been attempting to speak to creation using human dialects, not realizing that the cosmos operates through a more fundamental form of communication, the language of absolutes. Think about how light travels across the universe. Does it hesitate? Does it question whether it will reach its destination? No. It simply moves at its perfect speed without doubt or consideration. Rain doesn't contemplate whether it should fall. It simply follows its nature with complete certainty. This is the language that creation itself speaks, the dialect of unwavering certainty. When you communicate with the universe through hesitation, doubt, and anxiety, you're essentially speaking a foreign language that creation doesn't understand. I hope this works, or maybe someday I'll achieve this, creates a frequency of uncertainty that the universe can only reflect back to you as more uncertainty. It's like trying to tune a radio to catch a clear signal, but remaining stuck between stations. All you'll hear is static. The revelation that transforms everything is understanding that the universe only recognizes one frequency. The frequency of "it is done." Not "it will be," not "I hope so," but the absolute knowing that what you desire already exists. This state of consciousness isn't about pretending or using positive thinking as a psychological trick. It's about aligning with a truth so fundamental that doubt becomes impossible. Masters throughout history have discovered this secret. They didn't ask the universe for their desires. They aligned so completely with the essence of what they sought that their very being became a perfect conduit for manifestation. This alignment isn't something you achieve through force of will. It emerges naturally when you recognize your oneness with the creative force itself. The pathway to this alignment begins with identifying the contradictions in your energy field. Where are you saying yes with your words, but no with your energy? Where have you been trying to convince yourself of possibilities while simultaneously harboring doubts? These contradictions aren't character flaws. They're simply misalignments waiting to be harmonized. When you bring your entire being into coherence with your desires, speaking to the universe with the same certainty that light has when traveling across galaxies, creation has no choice but to respond in kind. Your manifestation becomes not a struggle, but an inevitable expression of who you've become. If you recognize that you've been speaking to the universe in a language of doubt when you could be communicating with absolute certainty. Write in the comments, "I now speak the language of creation." Now, I want to explore what truly happens behind the scenes of every remarkable manifestation you've ever witnessed or experienced. There's a common thread that runs through each of these seemingly miraculous events, a hidden pattern that, once recognized, completely transforms your relationship with creation itself. When you examine the lives of those who appear blessed by extraordinary good fortune, you'll discover something fascinating. Their outer circumstances aren't the result of random luck or even persistent action. Their reality is a precise reflection of an internal state they've cultivated, often without consciously realizing it. They've mastered what ancient wisdom traditions called the state of it is done, a level of consciousness where the mind rests in absolute knowing rather than hopeful wishing. This profound state of being isn't reserved for spiritual masters or specially chosen individuals. It's your natural inheritance as a conscious being. The illusion that keeps most seekers trapped in perpetual searching is the belief that this power exists outside themselves, something to be acquired rather than awakened. The journey of transformation isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about remembering what you've always been beneath layers of conditioning. Think about how you order food at a restaurant. You don't plead with the universe hoping your meal might eventually arrive. You simply place your order with the quiet certainty that it will be delivered. This same quality of unwavering confidence is what we must cultivate in relation to our deepest desires. The revelation that changes everything is understanding that manifestation isn't something you do, it's a state you embody. The fundamental shift occurs when you stop perceiving yourself as separate from the creative force of the universe, when you recognize that you are that power expressing itself in human form. Your relationship with reality transforms completely. You're no longer an isolated entity attempting to influence external circumstances. You become a conscious channel through which the infinite expresses itself. This recognition leads us to another profound insight about the nature of our experience. Every situation that repeatedly appears in your life, whether wanted or unwanted, is a perfect reflection of your subconscious programming. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing occurs through random chance. The patterns you experience with mathematical precision mirror the frequency you're emitting at a level deeper than conscious awareness. Consider someone who consistently struggles with financial limitations despite their best efforts. Their external circumstances aren't caused by bad luck or even poor decisions. They're experiencing the precise reflection of their internal relationship with abundance. Perhaps they carry hidden beliefs about money being corrupt, wealth being unspiritual, or abundance being available only through struggle. These subconscious patterns create an energetic blueprint that reality faithfully reproduces. The extraordinary revelation in this understanding is that by changing the internal pattern, you automatically transform the external reflection. This isn't magical thinking. It's the practical application of universal law. When you alter your relationship with abundance at the subconscious level, new opportunities naturally appear, resources flow more easily, and your entire financial reality reorganizes to match your updated internal template. The journey toward mastery involves becoming intimately aware of these subconscious patterns. What beliefs have you inherited about your worth, your capabilities, or what's possible for someone like you? These aren't abstract questions. They're the architectural blueprints from which your life is being constructed moment by moment. When you investigate recurring challenges in your experience, whether in relationships, health, finances, or any other area, you're being offered a precious window into your subconscious programming. These patterns aren't punishments or failures. They're feedback mechanisms revealing what needs to be harmonized within your energy field. The catalyst for profound transformation is recognizing that these patterns, though they may feel deeply ingrained, aren't fixed aspects of who you are. They're simply energetic habits that can be released and replaced once brought into conscious awareness. The universe responds not to your history, but to your current vibrational signature. When that signature changes, reality must reorganize accordingly, not because you've manipulated external forces, but because you've altered the template from which your experience is being generated. This understanding liberates you from the exhausting cycle of trying to fix external circumstances while leaving the internal blueprint unchanged. It's like attempting to adjust your reflection in a mirror without changing your actual appearance. The mirror will always show you exactly what stands before it. Similarly, your life experiences will always reflect your inner state with perfect precision. If you recognize that the recurring patterns in your life are simply reflections of your subconscious programming, write in the comments, "I am the architect of my experience." Now, I want to reveal the most revolutionary truth that transforms our entire understanding of success. This insight completely contradicts everything we've been taught about achievement and manifestation. The revelation that changes everything is this: reality doesn't respond to what you do. It responds solely to who you are. This principle operates with such precision that once you truly grasp it, your approach to creating the life you desire will fundamentally shift. Consider the great masters and visionaries throughout history, those rare individuals who left an indelible mark on the world. What distinguished them wasn't their relentless activity or their strategic planning. It was their presence, the quality of consciousness they embodied. These remarkable beings didn't attempt to influence reality through endless doing. Their mere existence altered the field around them. When they entered a room, the atmosphere transformed, not because they implemented special techniques or followed elaborate manifestation protocols, but because they had cultivated such a powerful state of being that reality itself recognized and responded to their energetic signature. This journey of awakening invites you to shift from the paradigm of doing to the paradigm of being. Most approaches to success focus exclusively on action: what steps to take, what habits to cultivate, what strategies to implement. While action certainly has its place in the manifestation process, it's your state of being that determines which actions will bear fruit and which will remain fruitless regardless of effort. The universe responds with mathematical precision to your energetic blueprint, not to your wishful thinking or even your disciplined action. When your actions arise from an internal state aligned with what you desire to create, they carry a completely different power than identical actions taken from a state of lack or desperation. This is why two people can follow exactly the same steps with dramatically different results. Behind the scenes of this transformative principle is a truth that challenges our conventional understanding of causality. We've been conditioned to believe that external circumstances determine our internal state, that we'll feel abundant once we have money, we'll feel loved once we find the right partner, we'll feel successful once we achieve certain milestones. But the reverse is actually true. Your internal state creates your external circumstances, not the other way around. This brings us to another profound insight about why so many people remain trapped in cycles of unfulfillment despite their best efforts. Most individuals exist in a perpetual state of wanting more money, better health, meaningful relationships, greater recognition. This constant state of wanting seems innocent enough, even motivating. However, it contains a hidden flaw that sabotages manifestation at its foundation. When you operate from a primary state of wanting, you're unconsciously broadcasting to the universe that you don't currently have what you desire. You're essentially declaring, "I lack this thing I'm focused on," and the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, faithfully reflects that lack back to you. It's a subtle but crucial distinction. Wanting something inherently affirms its absence in your current experience. The masters of manifestation discovered that the key isn't to want something with greater intensity. It's to shift from wanting to having in consciousness. This doesn't mean pretending you already possess what you desire in the physical world. It means cultivating the internal state you would embody if your desire were already fulfilled. It's about becoming the version of yourself who already experiences the essence of what you seek. Think about how you feel when you desperately want something. There's an energy of grasping, of reaching, of incompleteness. Now contrast that with how you feel about something you already have and appreciate. There's an energy of gratitude, of completion, of presence. These two states broadcast entirely different frequencies to the universe, and they attract entirely different experiences as a result. The pathway to transcending the trap of wanting isn't to suppress your desires. It's to fulfill them at the level of consciousness before they manifest in physical form. When you genuinely feel abundant, regardless of your bank balance, when you truly embody health, regardless of current symptoms, when you authentically experience love, regardless of external relationships, that's when the universe responds with circumstances that match your internal reality. This perspective completely reverses our conventional approach to creation. Instead of struggling to change external conditions so you can finally experience your desired internal state, you cultivate the internal state first, knowing that external conditions must eventually align with it. This is the true meaning of the ancient wisdom teaching, as within, so without. If you recognize that you've been caught in the cycle of wanting when you could be operating from a state of already having, write in the comments, "I am shifting from wanting to being." Now I want to explore what separates those who consistently manifest their desires from those who remain trapped in endless seeking. The masters who have walked this path of conscious creation have discovered something extraordinary. They've recognized that the secret isn't found in pursuing what they desire. It lies in becoming the living embodiment of it. This transformation in consciousness represents a quantum leap in your manifestation journey. Rather than chasing abundance, these masters become abundance itself, walking, breathing, existing as the very quality they seek to experience. They don't try to attract love. They embody love so completely that they become a magnet for matching experiences. This shift from pursuing to embodying changes everything. Think about how different this approach is from conventional manifestation techniques. Most methods focus on having you perform certain actions, visualize for 10 minutes, recite affirmations, create vision boards, as if manifestation were something you do rather than someone you become. These techniques can certainly be helpful stepping stones, but they miss the profound truth that true transformation occurs at the level of identity. When you shift from saying, "I want abundance," to "I am abundance," you're not simply changing your words. You're declaring a fundamental truth about your nature that reconfigures your entire energy field. The universe responds not to what you're attempting to attract, but to the frequency you're broadcasting through your very being. This is why identical techniques yield dramatically different results for different people. The technique itself holds no power. It's the consciousness behind it that creates the impact. Behind the scenes of this process lies a fascinating principle rooted in quantum mechanics. At the subatomic level, particles exist as probability waves until observed. They exist in multiple potential states simultaneously until consciousness interacts with them. This same principle operates in your life at a larger scale. Your reality exists in a field of infinite possibilities until your consciousness, through your dominant state of being, collapses those possibilities into specific experiences. When you change your internal vibratory state, the external world has no choice but to reorganize itself to reflect that new frequency. It's not that reality is bending to your will through some mystical force. It's responding with mathematical precision to the energetic signature you're emitting. This isn't metaphysical speculation, it's the practical application of quantum principles that scientists are increasingly validating through rigorous experimentation. The revelation that transforms everything is that this shift doesn't require decades of spiritual practice or complex rituals. It can occur in an instant, that pivotal moment when you make the decision to stop pursuing and start embodying. Like when an actor no longer tries to portray a character, but becomes so immersed that the boundary between performer and role dissolves completely. This instantaneous transformation is what mystics throughout history have called enlightenment or awakening. Not a gradual process, but a sudden recognition of what has always been true. The abundance you seek isn't something you need to attract from outside yourself. It's an intrinsic quality of your being that has been temporarily obscured by conditioned patterns of thought and perception. In the sacred dance of creation, there exists a threshold where all effort dissolves and gives way to pure being. It's that moment when you stop rowing against the current and become the current itself. The struggle ceases, resistance evaporates, and you find yourself in a state of perfect flow where manifestation occurs not through force, but through alignment. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, doesn't respond to your strenuous efforts or your detailed plans. It responds solely to the energetic signature you emit through your primary state of being. When that signature aligns with what you desire to experience, reality reconfigures with an elegance and precision that can seem miraculous to those who don't understand the process. What's truly liberating about this understanding is that it frees you from the exhausting cycle of endless doing. It releases you from the belief that manifestation requires constant effort, struggle, or complex techniques. When you recognize that the power lies in your state of being, rather than your actions, you enter a dimension of creation where synchronicities become your normal experience and opportunities appear with remarkable timing. This doesn't mean you never take action, but the quality of your action transforms completely. Instead of effortful striving, your actions flow naturally from your aligned state of being. They become what the Taoists call wu wei, effortless action that accomplishes more than forced effort ever could. It's the difference between swimming upstream and flowing with a current that's already moving in your desired direction. If you recognize this profound shift from pursuing to embodying, from trying to attract to simply being, write in the comments, "I no longer chase, I now embody." Now I want to explore what happens in that sacred space where creation truly unfolds. There's a profound threshold in the manifestation journey that few people ever discover, a point where effort dissolves completely and gives way to something far more powerful. This transition represents the most significant shift in your relationship with the creative process. Imagine for a moment what it feels like to struggle against a powerful current. Every movement forward requires tremendous energy, determination, and willpower. This is how most people approach manifestation, pushing, striving, forcing their way toward their desires. But there exists another way, a path of such elegant simplicity that most seekers overlook it entirely. In the sacred dance of creation, there comes a moment when you stop rowing against the current and become the current itself. The struggle ceases. Resistance evaporates, and you find yourself in a state of perfect flow where things simply happen through you, not by you. This isn't a metaphorical description, it's a tangible shift in consciousness that transforms your entire experience of reality. This state of being isn't about surrender in the sense of giving up. It's about recognizing your oneness with the creative force itself. When you no longer perceive yourself as separate from the universe, trying to influence it from outside, you enter a dimension of manifestation where synchronicity becomes your normal experience and coincidence ceases to exist. Behind the scenes of this transformation is a fundamental shift in how you relate to the creative process. Most approaches to manifestation position you as a separate entity attempting to attract something from elsewhere. But the masters discovered that you are not separate from the source of creation. You are that source expressing itself in human form. Your desires aren't random wishes. They're the universe speaking through you about what wants to be expressed. This revelation changes everything about how you approach the manifestation journey. You're no longer trying to get the universe to give you something. You're allowing the universe to express itself through you. The difference is subtle but revolutionary, like shifting from being a beggar to recognizing you're the sovereign. When you truly grasp this principle, you understand why the universe doesn't respond to pleas, wishes, or even affirmations. It responds solely to your internal knowledge, the absolute certainty that exists at your core, beyond all doubt or hesitation. What manifests in your life isn't what you want, wish for, or visualize. It's what you know with unwavering certainty. Think about how you approach ordering food at a restaurant. You don't hope that maybe someday your meal might arrive. You don't beg the server to bring your food. You simply place your order with the natural expectation that it will be delivered. There's a quiet confidence, an absence of doubt that characterizes this interaction. This same quality of absolute knowing is what the universe responds to in all areas of creation. The secret to manifestation isn't found in perfecting your technique or increasing the intensity of your desire. It lies in cultivating that internal state of knowing, a consciousness so aligned with your desire that doubt becomes impossible. This isn't pretending or using psychological tricks to convince yourself of something you don't believe. It's about accessing a deeper level of consciousness where you recognize that what you seek is already yours, in essence. This internal knowing transcends hope, belief, and even faith. It's not something you need to create or develop. It's an aspect of your true nature that you uncover by removing the accumulated layers of doubt, fear, and limitation that have obscured it. When you operate from this state of consciousness, the universe doesn't need to be convinced or persuaded. It simply responds with perfect precision to the energetic signature you're emitting. The journey toward mastery involves a fundamental shift from asking to commanding, not from a place of ego or force, but from a recognition of your true identity as an expression of the creative force itself. It's the difference between saying, "Please give me abundance," and declaring with quiet authority, "I am abundance." Between begging for love and becoming the embodiment of love itself. This alignment with your essential nature creates a resonance field so powerful that reality has no choice but to conform to it. Not because you're imposing your will on the universe, but because you're allowing the universe to express its nature through you without the distortion of doubt or fear. You become a clear channel through which infinite potential flows into tangible expression. If you recognize that you've been asking the universe for your desires, when you could simply be commanding from a place of knowing, write in the comments, "I speak with the authority of knowing." Now I want to reveal a profound distinction that transforms the entire manifestation process. Most approaches to creation position you as a seeker, constantly asking the universe for what you desire. But there's a fundamental flaw in this approach that keeps countless sincere practitioners trapped in cycles of wanting without receiving. The revelation that changes everything is this. The secret isn't in asking the universe to give you what you want. It lies in aligning so completely with the essence of your desire that it becomes a statement of fact, not a request. This shift in consciousness represents the most significant turning point in your journey of conscious creation. Consider the profound difference between these two approaches. When you say, "Please give me abundance," you're speaking from a position of separation and lack. You're reinforcing the very absence you're trying to overcome. But when you declare with quiet authority, "I am abundance," you're speaking from an entirely different dimension of consciousness, one where you and what you seek are already one. This isn't mere semantics or clever wordplay. It's a complete reconfiguration of your relationship with the creative process. In the first approach, you position yourself as a supplicant, hoping the universe will someday grant your wish. In the second, you recognize your oneness with the very essence of what you desire, allowing it to express naturally through you. Behind the scenes of this transformation is a principle the ancient mystics understood with remarkable clarity. True creation doesn't occur through acquisition, but through alignment. You don't need to acquire abundance. You need to align with the abundant nature that already exists within you. You don't need to attract love. You need to align with the loving essence that is your true identity. This perspective completely reverses our conventional understanding of manifestation. Rather than seeing your desires as something external to be attracted, you recognize them as expressions of your essential nature seeking to emerge through you. Your desires aren't random wants. They're the universe speaking through you about what wants to be expressed in this precise moment. This perfect alignment is what ancient sacred texts referred to when they spoke of being in the world, but not of the world, a state where you participate fully in physical reality while maintaining conscious connection to your infinite nature. From this perspective, manifestation isn't something you do. It's something you allow as the natural expression of who you truly are. Think about a tree in spring. Does it strive and struggle to produce blossoms? Does it anxiously worry whether it will bear fruit? Does it compare its fruit to the tree next door? No. It simply expresses its nature with perfect trust in the process of life. Bearing fruit isn't something it achieves through effort or technique. It's the natural expression of its being. This same effortless creativity becomes your experience when you align with your essential nature. The journey toward this alignment involves a radical simplification rather than increasing complexity. Most seekers accumulate more and more techniques, believing that manifestation requires elaborate rituals or precise protocols. But the masters discovered that true power comes through stripping away everything that isn't essential, all the conditioning, limiting beliefs, and inherited patterns that obscure your recognition of what you already are. What we're exploring here transcends conventional manifestation teachings completely. We're not talking about visualizing what you want or repeating affirmations. We're talking about a fundamental transformation in your identity. A shift from seeing yourself as a separate entity, trying to attract things, to recognizing yourself as the source of all you seek to experience. When you operate from this level of consciousness, synchronicities become your normal experience. Doors open without effort. The perfect people and opportunities appear in your path, not because you're attracting them consciously, but because it's the natural consequence of who you've become. It's like gravity, not a force you need to activate or control, but a natural principle that operates perfectly without your intervention. The revelation that liberates you from endless seeking is recognizing that what you've been pursuing has been within you all along. You are not the seeker, you are what you seek. Your journey isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about awakening to what you've always been beneath the accumulated layers of forgetting. This understanding transforms your relationship with desire itself. Rather than seeing desires as indications of lack, you recognize them as creative impulses arising from your essential nature. The universe expressing its infinite potential through your unique form. Your desires are not random wants, they're sacred callings guiding you toward your fullest expression. If you recognize that you've been asking the universe for what you want when you could be aligning with what you already are, write in the comments, "I am what I seek." Now, I want to reveal one of the most profound insights about the nature of reality itself. This revelation completely transforms how you interact with the world around you. Most people approach life as if reality were a fixed canvas, a rigid structure they must conform to. They adjust, adapt, and do the best they can within what they perceive as the immutable confines of how things are. This perspective keeps them perpetually reacting to circumstances rather than creating them. But here's the revolutionary truth that masters throughout history have discovered. Reality isn't a fixed canvas at all. It's an infinitely malleable medium awaiting your creative touch. This isn't metaphorical language or wishful thinking. It's a precise description of how consciousness interfaces with the quantum field of potential that underlies all physical manifestation. Think about your current reality as a city that has developed haphazardly over time. Streets that curve without clear purpose, buildings that clash in style and function, a chaotic energy flow that reflects unconscious decisions. Now imagine what would be possible if you could redesign everything from the ground up with absolute precision and intention. When you begin applying this principle, something extraordinary happens. Circumstances no longer happen to you, they organize through you. You shift from being a visitor in your own life to becoming the architect of your experience. It's the difference between being on a boat adrift at sea and being the navigator who precisely determines its course. Behind the scenes of this shift in perspective is a profound truth about the nature of physical reality itself. What appears solid and unchangeable is actually a swirling dance of energy and information, responding moment by moment to the consciousness observing it. Scientists at the leading edge of quantum physics continue to confirm what ancient wisdom traditions have taught for millennia. That observation affects reality at its most fundamental level. This understanding liberates you from the prison of circumstantial thinking. You're no longer bound by what appears to be happening out there, because you recognize that out there is a projection of what's happening in here. Your consciousness isn't just observing reality, it's actively participating in creating it through the focus of your attention and the quality of your energy field. The journey toward mastery involves stepping fully into your role as the divine architect of your experience. This doesn't mean controlling every detail through force of will. It means setting clear intentions and then allowing the infinite intelligence of the universe to organize the perfect path toward their manifestation. It's co-creation at its most profound level. You providing the what, and universal intelligence determining the how. Now, this perspective leads us to another revolutionary insight that challenges everything we've been taught about achievement and success. From childhood, most of us have been programmed with a paradigm that says, if you want to achieve something valuable, you must struggle enormously. This mentality is so deeply embedded in our culture that questioning it seems almost heretical. Yet the universe operates under a completely opposite principle, one that contradicts everything we've been conditioned to believe about how results are created. The revelation that transforms everything is this: the more you push, the more resistance you create. It's like swimming against a powerful current. You can exhaust all your energy fighting against it, or you can learn to float and allow that same current to carry you exactly where you need to go. When you operate from constant effort and struggle, you're unconsciously transmitting a frequency of lack. You're telling the universe, this is difficult, this is complicated, this requires me to strain to the point of exhaustion. And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, returns precisely that experience. Not because it's punishing you, but because it's responding with precision to your energetic broadcast. The impact of this revelation on your personal journey of manifestation is revolutionary. It means you can free yourself completely from the exhausting cycle of effort, frustration, more effort that characterizes most conventional approaches to success. The paradigm shift occurs when you recognize that the universe doesn't respond to your effort at all. It responds exclusively to your state of being. When you operate from a place of quiet certainty rather than desperate struggle, reality literally reorganizes to match your inner conviction. This isn't magic. It's universal mechanics applied with precision. The paradox that few understand is that your most significant achievements will come not from pushing harder, but from releasing the need to push altogether. This doesn't mean inaction. It means inspired action, arising from a state of perfect alignment, not from a state of struggle or lack. It's like an expert surfer who doesn't fight against the waves, but reads their movement and aligns perfectly with them. The result is a sense of effortless motion, even while actively participating in the experience. If you recognize that you've been caught in the cycle of exhausting effort when you could be flowing with natural ease, write in the comments, "I choose to release the struggle." Now, I want to explore a profound insight that completely transforms how we approach manifestation. We've been conditioned to believe that results require relentless effort, that the universe rewards those who push hardest, sacrifice most, and persevere through endless struggle. But this paradigm contains a fundamental misunderstanding that keeps millions trapped in cycles of exhaustion and diminishing returns. The revelation that changes everything is this: the universe doesn't respond to your effort at all. It responds exclusively to your state of being. This distinction isn't merely philosophical. It's the difference between swimming upstream your entire life or flowing effortlessly with a current that carries you precisely where you desire to go. Think about someone who's constantly pushing, striving, and fighting for their goals. Their internal dialogue sounds like, "I must work harder, I must do more, I must overcome these obstacles." This mindset creates a specific energetic signature that the universe mirrors back with remarkable precision. Not more success, but more situations requiring effort and struggle. The universe isn't cruel, it's simply reflecting the vibrational pattern being broadcast. Contrast this with someone operating from a state of quiet certainty. They move through life with the calm assurance that outcomes are already secured at the energetic level. Their actions arise not from desperation or fear, but from inspiration and alignment. The universe responds to this state by reorganizing reality to match their inner conviction, not because they've earned it through struggle, but because they've aligned with it through consciousness. This shift in understanding transforms your entire approach to creation. Instead of asking, "What more must I do to achieve this result?" you begin asking, "Who must I become for this result to manifest naturally?" The focus shifts from outer activity to inner alignment, from doing to being, from forcing to allowing. Behind the scenes of this transformation is a truth the ancient masters understood with perfect clarity. Your external circumstances are always a precise reflection of your internal state. When you change internally, external reality has no choice but to reorganize accordingly, not through magic or mysticism, but through the precise application of universal mechanics. This principle operates with mathematical exactness. It's not subjective or variable, it's as reliable as gravity. The illusion that keeps most seekers trapped is their belief that more effort will eventually overcome their misaligned state of being. But this is like trying to override the law of gravity by jumping harder. No amount of effort can overcome misalignment with universal principles. Now, this revelation leads us to another profound insight that the ancient masters called conscious surrender. Most people misunderstand surrender, associating it with defeat, passivity, or resignation. But true surrender, the kind that activates your creative power, is something entirely different. It's not giving up, It's tuning in. Conscious surrender means recognizing that a greater intelligence is working through you and aligning yourself with its flow, rather than resisting it with your limited perspective. It's like a sailboat that finally stops rowing against the wind and instead adjusts its sails to harness that same force, allowing the wind to do what it naturally does: propel. This surrendered state doesn't mean abdicating responsibility or falling into passivity. It means engaging with life from a completely different level of consciousness, one where you recognize that you're not a separate entity struggling against the universe, but a channel through which the universe expresses itself. When you remove the obstacles of doubt, fear, and misalignment. The paradox that transforms your journey is this: your greatest power comes not from controlling circumstances through force of will, but from surrendering to the greater intelligence that already knows the perfect path to your desires. In that surrender, you discover a form of power far beyond anything, achievable through effort alone. This doesn't mean you never take action. It means your action arises from a completely different source, not from anxiety, lack, or desperation, but from inspiration, guidance, and alignment. This distinction changes everything about how your actions impact reality. Actions taken from alignment carry a creative force that actions from misalignment can never access, regardless of how much effort is applied. The journey from effort to alignment isn't about doing less, it's about being more. It's about recognizing that the universe doesn't reward those who push hardest. It responds to those who align most completely. Your task isn't to force reality into submission through relentless action. It's to so perfectly align with the essence of what you desire that its manifestation becomes the natural, inevitable expression of who you've become. If you recognize that you've been relying on effort when you could be cultivating alignment, write in the comments, "I surrender to the greater intelligence." Now I want to explore what truly stands between you and everything you've ever desired. We've been conditioned to believe that external factors, lack of resources, insufficient connections, limited opportunities, are what prevent us from experiencing the life we long for. But the revelation that transforms everything is this: the greatest barrier between you and your deepest desires isn't found in your external circumstances at all. It's that subtle, persistent shadow of doubt residing in the corners of your mind. This insight illuminates why two people with identical resources, connections, and opportunities can experience dramatically different results. One thrives while the other struggles, not because of external factors, but because of the internal landscape from which they operate. The universe responds to your commands with exactly the same uncertainty you carry within. If doubt infuses your intention, doubt will infuse your manifestation. Think about someone approaching a situation with wavering confidence, constantly questioning whether they're worthy, capable, or deserving. Their mind might fluctuate between moments of hope and despair, belief and disbelief. When they attempt to manifest, they're essentially giving the universe contradictory instructions, like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a profound truth about how energy operates. Doubt isn't just a psychological state. It's a vibrational interference pattern that disrupts the clarity of your manifestation signal. It's like attempting to broadcast on a radio frequency while simultaneously jamming it. The result isn't partial manifestation. It's manifestation of the very uncertainty you're broadcasting. The journey toward mastery involves recognizing that doubt isn't an inherent aspect of your being. It's learned, installed, programmed into you through experiences and conditioning. You weren't born doubting yourself or your connection to the creative force of the universe. That pattern was implanted in you, and what has been learned can be unlearned. This understanding leads us to one of the most liberating revelations on the path of conscious creation. Most seekers believe that eliminating doubt requires years of spiritual practice, countless affirmations, or dramatic transformations in external circumstances. They assume that certainty can only emerge gradually after accumulating enough evidence to convince the skeptical mind. But the masters discovered something revolutionary. The process of eliminating doubt doesn't require years of practice or external validation. It can occur in an instant, in that decisive moment when you consciously choose certainty over doubt, clarity over confusion, conviction over hesitation. This singular decision acts as a quantum switch that immediately reconfigures your entire energy field. This instantaneous transformation isn't about convincing yourself of something you don't believe. It's about recognizing a deeper truth that has always existed beneath the accumulated layers of conditioning. The certainty we're talking about isn't manufactured, it's uncovered. It's not something you create, it's something you return to when you remove the obstructions that have obscured it. Think of it like sunlight. You don't need to create the sun's brilliance. You simply need to remove whatever has been blocking it. Your natural state is one of absolute knowing, the kind of knowing that doesn't require external evidence or validation. It's the knowing of your essential nature, which exists beyond the realm of doubt. The impact of this understanding on your manifestation journey is immediate and profound. It means you don't need to wait for doubt to gradually dissolve through years of practice. You can make the decision in this moment to step into certainty, not as a psychological trick, but as a recognition of what has always been true beneath the surface of conditioned thinking. When you make this shift, your entire energy field changes instantly. The universe, which responds with mathematical precision to your vibrational signature, must reorganize accordingly. This isn't metaphorical language, it's a description of how consciousness interfaces with the quantum field of potential. Your certainty collapses wave functions of possibility into particles of manifestation. The practical application of this principle involves recognizing doubt when it appears without identifying with it. You can observe these thoughts without becoming them. Ah, there's doubt arising. This simple recognition creates space between you and the doubt, revealing that you are not the doubt. You are the awareness in which doubt appears. From this space of conscious awareness, you can choose certainty not as an act of will, but as an alignment with your deeper nature. This capacity to choose your state of consciousness represents the most significant power you possess as a conscious creator. Each moment offers the opportunity to realign with the certainty that exists at your core, regardless of external circumstances or previous patterns of thinking. If you recognize that you've been allowing doubt to distort your creative power when you could be operating from absolute certainty, write in the comments, "I choose certainty over doubt." Now, I want to explore the most advanced level of this sacred practice, a dimension of manifestation rarely visited even by dedicated seekers. Beyond all techniques, methods, and exercises exists a realm of pure potency and simplicity, the domain of pure intention. This is the terrain where true masters operate, where manifestation reaches such a level of refinement that it appears almost magical to outside observers. Most practitioners spend years perfecting elaborate rituals of manifestation, specific visualizations, precise affirmations, detailed protocols for aligning energy. While these practices can certainly be beneficial stepping stones, they often become obstacles to the most powerful manifestation of all, the direct command of pure intention. This level of mastery is characterized not by complexity, but by radical simplicity. At the highest level of manifestation, you only need to decide. No visualization, no affirmation, No complex energy work, just pure, unwavering intention directed from a state of absolute knowing. The universe responds not through hope or desire, but through recognition of your word as law. This isn't arrogance. It's alignment with the fundamental creative principle that underlies all existence. Think about the difference between starting a fire with friction and simply flipping a light switch. Both produce illumination, but one requires tremendous effort, while the other accesses a more refined application of power. Most manifestation techniques are like building fires. Through friction, effective but demanding. Pure intention is like accessing electricity directly, immediate, efficient, and vastly more powerful. This revelation can be initially disorienting for those who have invested heavily in complex manifestation protocols. The mind resists such simplicity, believing that creation must require elaborate techniques. Yet the truth remains, at the highest levels of consciousness, manifestation occurs through the most direct application of intention, not through complex ritual. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a principle rarely discussed, even in advanced manifestation circles. Your intention carries the power of the entire universe when it arises from a state of complete internal alignment. When every aspect of your being, conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, stands in perfect harmony with your decision, the universe has no choice but to respond with immediate precision. The challenge isn't generating more power, it's eliminating internal contradiction. Most practitioners unknowingly broadcast mixed signals, consciously desiring one outcome while unconsciously fearing or resisting it. Pure intention emerges when these contradictions are resolved, creating a unified field of consciousness that commands reality rather than pleading with it. This understanding leads us to another crucial insight that separates consistent manifestors from those who experience only occasional success. The universe responds not only to your current state, but to the stability of your alignment over time. This explains why some people experience remarkable manifestations only to lose them shortly afterward, while others maintain their creations with apparent effortlessness. Those who rise only to fall again have mastered the art of reaching heights, but not the science of maintaining them. They've learned to create momentary peaks of energetic alignment, intense periods of clarity that produce surprising results, but haven't established the foundation to sustain that elevated frequency as their new normal. Think of it like building a house. A momentary burst of focused intention might lay the foundation, but sustained alignment is required to complete the structure and maintain it over time. The universe responds to the overall pattern of your energetic signature, not just to isolated moments of clarity. The journey toward mastery involves not only learning to access peak states of consciousness, but also expanding your capacity to maintain them with increasing stability. This is where daily practice becomes essential, not as a technique for manifestation itself, but as a method for stabilizing your alignment at progressively higher frequencies. What distinguishes someone who creates abundance only to lose it from someone who maintains permanent prosperity? The difference lies not in their capacity to reach elevated states, but in their ability to stabilize those states over time. The first person creates from occasional peaks of alignment, while the second has transformed that peak into their baseline frequency. This insight revolutionizes how we approach manifestation practice. Instead of focusing exclusively on techniques to create specific outcomes, true mastery involves cultivating the stability of your aligned state, regardless of external circumstances. When your alignment becomes your natural resting state rather than something you must work to achieve, manifestation occurs as the natural byproduct of who you are rather than what you do. The profound truth is that manifestation was never meant to be a separate practice from your natural state of being. It was designed as the automatic expression of your aligned consciousness. The techniques and methods that fill spiritual literature were created not as the destination, but as bridges to return you to this natural state of conscious creation. When you stabilize your alignment over time, manifestation ceases to be something you do and becomes simply what occurs naturally through your presence. Like gravity, it doesn't require your attention or effort. It simply operates as the inevitable consequence of who you are. This is the state where synchronicities become your normal experience, and what others call miracles become your everyday reality. If you recognize the difference between momentary alignment and stable embodiment of your highest frequency, write in the comments, "I am stabilizing my alignment." Now I want to explore a revelation that completely transforms how you understand your own potential. What you currently perceive as your maximum potential, those dreams you consider ambitious or big, are actually just a shadow projected by your own limiting thoughts. This insight shatters the boundaries you've accepted as the edges of what's possible for your life. Most people operate with a ceiling on their imagination, a self-imposed limit on what they believe is achievable for someone like them. They create goals they consider realistic or ambitious, not realizing these boundaries exist only in their minds. The startling truth is that your grandest visions, the dreams you consider almost too bold to speak aloud, are merely a fraction of what's actually possible for you. Think about what happens when you stand in a dimly lit room. Your shadow appears much larger than your actual form. Similarly, the limitations you perceive aren't your true boundaries. They're merely shadows cast by thoughts that have no substance beyond your belief in them. When you illuminate your consciousness with higher awareness, these shadow limitations dissolve completely. The universe, in its essential nature, knows no limits whatsoever. Limitation is purely a human construct, an illusion we've collectively agreed to accept as real. When you declare, "This is my limit," the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, must honor that declaration, not because it's true, but because you've claimed it as your truth. But what happens when you refuse to accept any ceiling to your potential? Behind the scenes of this realization is a profound shift in identity. Most people operate from a sense of self, constructed from past experiences, cultural conditioning, and inherited beliefs. But this constructed self, with all its perceived limitations, isn't who you truly are. It's merely a character you've been playing in the grand theater of life. Your essential nature transcends all these artificial boundaries. When you begin to recognize yourself as an expression of the infinite, rather than a separate entity with fixed limitations, everything changes. The boundaries that once seemed so solid begin to dissolve. Possibilities that weren't even in your awareness suddenly become available. It's like discovering that what you thought was the entire ocean was merely a tide pool on the shore of a vast sea. This awakening to your unlimited nature isn't about inflating your ego or making grandiose claims. It's about recognizing a fundamental truth about consciousness itself, that the only real limits are those we accept through our beliefs. This understanding has been at the heart of every significant breakthrough in human history. Every revolutionary invention, artistic masterpiece, or social transformation began with someone who refused to accept the limitations others took for granted. Now this realization naturally leads us to an even more profound insight about your relationship with reality itself. Not only are you freeing yourself from imagined limits, but you're assuming your rightful role as the divine architect of your experience. This shift in perspective is perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of the sacred technique we're exploring. Most people approach life as if reality were something happening to them, a series of circumstances they must navigate as best they can. But this perspective completely misses the creative power you wield in every moment. Reality isn't a fixed canvas you must adapt to. It's an infinitely malleable medium awaiting your creative touch. Think of your reality as a city that developed haphazardly over time. Streets curving without clear purpose, buildings clashing in style and function. Now imagine what would be possible if you could redesign everything from the ground up with clear intention and purpose. This is precisely the opportunity that consciousness provides, not just to navigate what exists, but to fundamentally reshape it according to your highest vision. The universe doesn't simply respond to your desires, it's waiting for your blueprints. There's a profound difference between hoping for better circumstances and consciously designing them. The first positions you as a passive recipient of whatever manifests. The second acknowledges you as the active creator of your experience. When you step fully into your role as the divine architect, you recognize that every aspect of your life, relationships, health, prosperity, purpose, can be consciously designed rather than unconsciously accepted. You're no longer merely reacting to circumstances, you're creating them with deliberate intention. This doesn't mean controlling every detail through force of will. It means setting clear intentions for the quality and nature of your experience, then allowing the infinite intelligence of the universe to organize the perfect path toward their manifestation. It's co-creation at its most profound level. You providing the what and universal intelligence determining the how. If you recognize that you've been accepting limitations that were never truly yours and are ready to step into your role as the divine architect of your experience, write in the comments, "I am the unlimited creator." Now I want to reveal one of the most liberating secrets in the entire spectrum of universal law, a higher principle that has the power to completely transform your relationship with past actions and their consequences. While the law of karma operates with mathematical precision, reflecting back to you exactly what you've broadcast into the field, there exists an even higher law that transcends this cosmic accounting system, the law of forgiveness. This transcendent principle, which forms the foundation of Christian mysticism and appears in various forms across spiritual traditions, contains a power so extraordinary that it can literally neutralize karmic debt. It's as if the universe has provided a cosmic reset button that allows you to erase the energetic imprints of past mistakes and free yourself from consequences that would otherwise be inevitable. The key distinction that transforms this principle from theory to living power is understanding the difference between superficial forgiveness and genuine forgiveness. Superficial forgiveness is merely verbal, saying, "I forgive you," while internally continuing to feed the resentment, rehearse the grievance, or harbor judgment. This creates an energetic contradiction that actually reinforces the very pattern you're attempting to release. Genuine forgiveness, by contrast, completely transmutes the energy of the situation. It doesn't just cover the wound, it heals it at its source. This level of forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful actions or denying their impact. It means recognizing that holding on to resentment binds you energetically to the very pattern you wish to transcend, while releasing that resentment liberates not only the other person, but primarily yourself. Behind the scenes of this transformation is a quantum principle rarely discussed even in spiritual circles. Forgiveness literally alters the vibrational frequency of past events in your energy field. What seemed fixed and unchangeable becomes fluid and responsive to your current consciousness. This isn't metaphorical language. It's a precise description of how consciousness interfaces with the quantum field where all events exist, simultaneously in a unified field of now. When you truly forgive yourself or others, you're not simply adopting a more positive attitude toward the past. You're actively reconfiguring the energetic blueprint from which your future experiences will emerge. You're declaring to the universe, "This pattern is complete. I release its hold on my experience." And the universe, responding to this shift in consciousness, reorganizes accordingly. The impact of this understanding on your journey is profound. It means that no mistake, no matter how significant, has the power to determine your future unless you energetically bind yourself to it through unforgiveness. Your past does not dictate your future, your present consciousness does. And in each moment you have the power to release any pattern through the alchemy of genuine forgiveness. This revelation naturally leads us to another extraordinary dimension of the sacred technique, the power of intuitive guidance. The ancient texts express this principle with perfect clarity. In all your ways acknowledge him, he will direct your paths. Far from being merely a religious directive, this is a precise description of how to access wisdom that transcends the limitations of the rational mind. Through intuition, that gentle voice speaking in moments of quietude, you receive definitive clues to manifest your deepest desires. This intuitive faculty isn't something mystical or available only to special individuals. It's your birthright as a conscious being, a direct line to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and guides the unfoldment of all creation. The challenge most people face isn't that they lack intuition, it's that they've been conditioned to distrust it in favor of logical analysis and external validation. But the masters discovered that intuition operates from a dimension of consciousness where time and space are non-linear. It can access solutions that exist outside your current frame of reference and guide you toward possibilities your rational mind couldn't even conceive. This intuitive guidance doesn't arrive with elaborate explanations or logical justifications. It often comes as a simple knowing, a subtle nudge, an unexpected inspiration that doesn't immediately make rational sense. The journey toward mastery involves learning to recognize and trust these intuitive promptings even when they contradict conventional wisdom or seem illogical from your current perspective. What makes intuition such a powerful ally in manifestation is that it operates from the field of infinite potential rather than the limited data of past experience. Unlike the rational mind, which processes information sequentially and is bound by what it already knows, intuition can access the perfect solution directly, even when there appears to be no logical path toward it from your current circumstances. The paradox that transforms your relationship with intuitive guidance is recognizing that certainty doesn't come from external evidence. The evidence arrives as a result of acting from inner certainty. This reverses our conventional understanding of causality. You don't need proof before you trust. Your trust generates the proof. If you recognize how forgiveness and intuition are working together to guide your path toward liberation, write in the comments, "I trust my inner guidance." Now, I want to reveal a principle that completely transforms your relationship with abundance and prosperity. This insight challenges conventional beliefs about money and introduces a perspective that has catalyzed extraordinary financial transformations throughout history. The ancient practice of tithing, giving a tenth of your income, isn't simply a religious custom or moral obligation. It's a direct application of one of the most powerful universal laws governing prosperity, the law of circulation. When properly understood, this practice acts as a catalyst that accelerates the flow of abundance in your life. It's like opening a floodgate that allows prosperity to flow toward you in volumes significantly greater than what you initially gave. This principle operates with mathematical precision, not as a mystical reward system, but as the natural consequence of aligning yourself with the fundamental nature of energy itself. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a quantum truth about the nature of abundance. The universe isn't a place of scarcity where resources are limited and must be hoarded. It's a field of infinite potential where limitation exists only in our perception. When you give from a consciousness of abundance rather than fear, You're declaring to the universe, I trust in the endless supply. I participate in the circulation of prosperity. This declaration, backed by decisive action, creates a resonance field that attracts matching experiences. Think about someone trapped in the mindset of scarcity. They cling tightly to what they have, afraid there won't be enough. This very clinging creates an energetic contraction that repels the flow of abundance. It's like squeezing a garden hose and then wondering why water isn't flowing freely. The revolutionary insight is that giving opens the channel through which receiving becomes possible. This understanding leads us naturally to a profound revelation about the true nature of money itself. Money isn't what we've been conditioned to believe, a scarce resource to be accumulated and protected. It's simply energy in physical form. And like all energy in the universe, it must be kept in circulation to maintain its vitality and power. When you hoard or cling too tightly to this energy, you create a blockage in its natural flow, paradoxically reducing your capacity to attract more. The conventional mind, conditioned by fear, tells us to grip tightly what we have, to accumulate and protect our resources at all costs. But the revolutionary truth is precisely the opposite. The more freely you allow energy to flow through you, the more abundantly it returns. This perspective completely transforms your relationship with finances. Instead of seeing money as something to desperately acquire and anxiously protect, you recognize it as a current of energy meant to flow through your life like a river, not something to dam up and hoard. This shift in consciousness changes how you make financial decisions, how you relate to spending and saving, and ultimately how abundance manifests in your experience. The masters of prosperity throughout history discovered that the universe operates according to a principle that seems paradoxical to the conventional mind. There is one who scatters, yet increases more, and there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. This ancient wisdom captures perfectly the dynamic we're exploring, that circulation, not accumulation, is the key to sustainable abundance. This principle applies not only to money, but to all forms of giving, your time, attention, appreciation, knowledge, and care. When you give any of these resources from a place of fullness rather than obligation, you activate the same law of circulation that multiplies what flows through you. The key distinction that transforms this practice from obligation to opportunity is the consciousness from which you give. When giving arises from fear, guilt, or the expectation of return, it creates an energetic contradiction that blocks the natural flow. But when giving emerges from genuine appreciation and recognition of abundance, it aligns you perfectly with the circulation of universal energy. The difference isn't in the action itself, but in the consciousness behind it. The journey toward mastery involves recognizing money as a perfect symbol of universal energy, neither inherently positive nor negative, but a neutral force that takes on the qualities of the consciousness directing it. When you release the fearful grip of lack consciousness and allow this energy to flow with trust and appreciation, you create the conditions for abundance to manifest naturally in your experience. This understanding liberates you from the prison of scarcity thinking and opens a dimension of prosperity that operates according to principles of abundance rather than limitation. You begin to make financial decisions from a place of expansive possibility rather than contracted fear, creating an entirely different relationship with the energy of money. If you recognize how the principle of energetic circulation is transforming your relationship with abundance, write in the comments, I am a channel for prosperity. Now, I want to explore what may be the most significant application of everything we've discussed so far, a revelation that brings profound meaning and direction to your life journey. Beneath all the techniques and principles of manifestation lies a truth so fundamental that it transforms your entire reason for being here. For each person, there exists a unique place in this world that no one else can fill, something you must do that no one else can do. This isn't an abstract concept or poetic metaphor meant to inspire temporary motivation. It's a precise description of your individual purpose, as real and substantial as the mathematical principles governing the cosmos. Your destiny is held as a perfect idea in the divine mind, waiting to be recognized and manifested through you. Most people live lives of quiet desperation because they're attempting to occupy places that don't belong to them by divine right. They pursue careers, relationships, or experiences they've seen work for others without connecting with their own unique design. The result is a persistent sense of emptiness or dissatisfaction, even when achieving external success. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a profound truth about your soul's journey. You didn't arrive on this planet by random chance, nor are your deepest desires arbitrary whims, the authentic yearnings that emerge from your core, not the conditioned wants programmed by society, but the soul-level callings that persist throughout your life, are actually signposts pointing toward your divine design. The highest request you can make to the universe isn't for specific possessions or achievements. It's for the manifestation of your divine design. Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life to manifest. This invocation acts as a master key that unlocks all doors necessary for your most authentic expression. What's extraordinary about aligning with your divine design is that everything else naturally falls into place. Perfect health, prosperity, fulfilling relationships, and creative expression aren't separate goals to be pursued individually. They're integrated aspects of your complete expression. When you align with your divine purpose, these elements harmonize naturally as supporting facets of your unique contribution. Now, to fully embody this divine design, we must understand the remarkable structure of the human mind itself. This insight from ancient wisdom traditions reveals why manifestation often seems inconsistent or challenging. The ancient sages discovered that the human mind is not a single homogeneous entity, but is subdivided into 3 distinct departments or levels, each operating according to different principles. The subconscious level functions as a power without direction of its own, similar to steam or electricity, a tremendously powerful force that simply obeys whatever instructions it receives. It has no capacity for discernment or judgment. Everything you feel deeply or imagine vividly is imprinted on this subconscious mind and eventually manifested down to the smallest detail. The conscious level, also called the mortal or carnal mind, is the ordinary human mind that perceives life as it appears on the surface. It sees limitation, disease, lack, and death, and transmits these impressions to the subconscious as instructions to be followed. Most people operate primarily from this level, unaware that they're continuously programming their subconscious with patterns of limitation. But there exists a third level, the superconscious, which is the mind of the divine within each person. This is the realm of perfect ideas, the dimension where your complete divine design resides. In this superconscious level, there exists a perfect pattern for every aspect of your life. Your health, relationships, prosperity, and purpose. The challenge we face is that the conscious mind, with its limited perceptions, often obscures the perfect patterns waiting in the superconscious. Many people ignore their true destiny and strive for situations and circumstances that don't authentically belong to them, which, if achieved, would bring only frustration and dissatisfaction. Mastery of the sacred technique involves learning to align these 3 levels of mind, allowing the Perfect ideas from the superconscious to flow unobstructed through the conscious mind and imprint the subconscious with patterns that create harmonious manifestations. When these three aspects work in perfect unity, your divine design unfolds with astonishing precision and grace. This understanding transforms your approach to manifestation completely. Instead of trying to micromanage external circumstances through force of will, you focus on creating internal alignment with your divine design. When these three levels of mind harmonize, the outer world naturally reorganizes to reflect your aligned consciousness. If you sense there's a unique purpose waiting for you to recognize and express it, write in the comments, "I am ready to embody my divine design." Now I want to reveal one of the most profound instruments of creation you possess, something you've been using every day without realizing its extraordinary power. Your words aren't simply sounds emitted for communication. They're instruments of power that literally shape the fabric of reality itself. This revelation transforms your understanding of how manifestation actually works at its most fundamental level. Most people treat their words casually, unaware that each statement they make is a creative command sent directly to the field of infinite potential. When you speak from a state of pure alignment, your words aren't merely describing reality, they're actively forging it. The ancient text expresses this principle with perfect clarity. By your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. This isn't a metaphorical statement or moral teaching. It's a precise description of the mechanics of creation. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a quantum truth about the relationship between consciousness and manifestation. Your words, infused with the energy of your consciousness, create resonance patterns in the field that inevitably materialize as your physical experience. The universe doesn't distinguish between casual comments and deliberate declarations. It responds with equal precision to both, manifesting the essence of what you've declared. Think about someone who habitually says, "This always happens to me," when experiencing minor setbacks. These words seem innocent enough, yet they're programming the subconscious to create precisely that pattern of recurring challenges. Or consider the person who regularly declares, "I'm terrible with money," as a casual self-deprecation. This statement, energized by belief and repetition, becomes a command that the subconscious must fulfill by creating financial scenarios that validate the declaration. The revelation that transforms everything is understanding that this power doesn't reside in the words themselves, but in the consciousness from which they're pronounced. The identical phrase spoken from different states of consciousness creates entirely different outcomes. Words spoken from fear create fearful experiences. Words spoken from certainty create certain outcomes. Your state of being infuses your declarations with their creative potency. This understanding leads us naturally to another profound insight about the relationship between consciousness and physical experience, particularly regarding health and well-being. Every physical condition you experience is simply the external manifestation of an internal energetic pattern. There are no exceptions to this rule. The physical body is merely the mirror reflecting, with perfect precision, your state of consciousness. Modern research in psychoneuroimmunology has confirmed what the ancient sages knew intuitively. Thoughts and emotions directly impact biology at the cellular level. Every mental state creates corresponding chemical changes in the body, affecting everything from immune function to cellular regeneration. This isn't speculation or mystical thinking. It's established science that continues to validate what wisdom traditions have taught for millennia. Among all the causes of physical imbalance, unresolved emotional patterns stand as the most significant. Resentment, that toxic energy of unforgiveness, eventually manifests as physical distress if sustained over time. It's like drinking poison. and expecting the other person to suffer, a strategy that inevitably turns against the one holding the grudge. This understanding completely transforms your approach to both health and healing. Instead of focusing exclusively on physical symptoms, true healing addresses the mental and emotional patterns creating those symptoms. When you resolve the inner discord, the body naturally returns to its inherent state of balance and vitality. This doesn't mean ignoring appropriate medical care. It means complementing it by addressing the root consciousness that created the condition. The journey toward mastery involves becoming increasingly aware of the connection between your internal state and your physical experience. You begin to recognize that your body isn't betraying you through illness. It's communicating with you, showing you with perfect precision where healing is needed in your consciousness. This perspective transforms health challenges from random misfortunes into meaningful opportunities for deeper awareness and transformation. When you understand this correspondence between mind and body, you recognize that lasting physical transformation begins with mental and emotional healing. As you release patterns of judgment, criticism, resentment, and fear, your physical vehicle naturally reorganizes to reflect your more harmonious state of consciousness. The body follows the mind with mathematical precision, not as a matter of belief, but as an expression of universal law. If you recognize how your words and thoughts are actively creating your physical reality, write in the comments, "My words shape my experience." Now, I want to explore what may be the most profound force in the entire universe, a power so fundamental that it transcends all other principles we've discussed. When the great teachers spoke of love, they weren't merely describing an emotion or a moral virtue. They were revealing the very fabric of creation itself. "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another." This isn't simply an ethical directive, but a precise description of the most powerful creative force in existence. The revelation that transforms everything is understanding that love is actually a cosmic phenomenon that opens the human being to the world of the fourth dimension, the realm of the marvelous. In his extraordinary work, Tertium Organum, Ouspensky makes a revolutionary claim. Love is the doorway through which we access dimensions of reality that transcend our normal three-dimensional understanding of existence. True love completely transcends our limited perception, allowing us to experience a broader reality that normally remains hidden from our senses. What distinguishes authentic love from its many imitations is its completely selfless nature and absolute freedom from fear. It isn't an exchange, a negotiation, or a transaction. It's a natural overflow that pours itself upon the object of its affection without demanding anything in return. Its joy is found in the very act of giving, not in what it might receive. This is the fundamental difference between genuine love and emotional attachment that most mistake for love. Behind the scenes of this dynamic is a fascinating quantum truth. Love is literally the most powerful magnetic force in the universe. When you love purely and selflessly, you create a resonance field that naturally attracts its likeness. It needs no seeking, no demanding. It simply attracts through the natural law of vibrational similarity. When you greet the divine in every being, even in those who appear to be your adversaries, you completely deactivate the battlefield and transform it into a space of co-creation. This understanding revolutionizes how you relate to every challenging relationship or circumstance. Instead of resisting what appears as opposition, you recognize it as part of a greater harmony unfolding through contrast and growth. The journey toward mastery involves cultivating this selfless love not as a technique for manifestation, but as an expression of your true nature. As you release judgment, criticism, and fear, you allow this cosmic force to flow through you unobstructed, transforming every relationship and circumstance it touches, not through effort or strategy, but through the natural radiation of your aligned being. Now, I want to reveal what may be the most liberating insight of all, the ultimate revelation that brings together everything we've explored. The greatest power isn't something you need to seek outside yourself. It's not something you need to acquire, develop, or deserve. It has always resided within you, patiently waiting to be recognized and embraced. In the depths of your being lies a truth so vast yet so simple that you've overlooked it your entire life. You've been searching through countless teachings, practicing innumerable techniques, yet the greatest power has always been right there, like water to the fish that desperately asks, "Where is the ocean?" The sacred technique we've been exploring isn't a method that must be learned, but a remembrance of what you truly are. It's not a skill to develop, but an amnesia to overcome. You aren't separate from the creative force of the universe. You are that force expressing itself through human form. Every breath you take is the universe breathing. Every thought you have is the universe thinking. Every desire you hold is the universe calling to itself. When you speak to reality, you're not a separate entity sending commands to an external force. You are reality speaking to itself. When you desire something, you're not a separate being yearning for what it lacks. You're the universe, desiring its own expression through you. This understanding fundamentally transforms your relationship with existence. The struggle you've experienced, the sense of separation from your desires, comes from a single misunderstanding. You've believed you were something small, trying to influence something vast, when in reality you are that vastness experiencing itself as something small. It's like the ocean trying to influence itself, or light attempting to command its own nature. The sacred technique works instantaneously when you truly understand it, because it's not a technique at all. It's simply you being what you already are. This revelation doesn't just transform your ability to manifest, it completely redefines the purpose of manifestation itself. It's no longer about obtaining or achieving, but about expressing and experiencing. It's not about filling a void, but celebrating a fullness that has always been present. What we're discussing isn't metaphorical language or poetic inspiration. It's a precise description of the mechanics of consciousness itself, the fundamental nature of your being that has been obscured by conditioned patterns of thinking and perceiving. The journey isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about unveiling what you've always been beneath the accumulated layers of forgetting. If you sense that this eternal truth has been waiting patiently for you to remember who you truly are, write in the comments, "I am awakening to my true identity." And so we arrive at the end of this journey through the sacred technique, though in truth it's not an ending, but an invitation to begin living from this deeper understanding. What you've discovered today isn't just another manifestation method. It's a remembrance of your true nature as a conscious creator. I've shared these principles with you because I've seen their transformative power firsthand. The shift from struggle to flow, from wanting to embodying, from doubt to certainty. These aren't just philosophical concepts, but practical doorways to a completely different experience of life. If what we've explored today has resonated in the depths of your being, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment saying, "I am the creator awakened," to connect with others who are walking this path of remembrance. Your comment creates a field of resonance that strengthens this awakening in our collective consciousness. If you found value in these revelations, a simple like helps. Others discover this wisdom too, not because I need validation, but because these truths deserve to be shared with those who are ready to receive them. And if you're feeling called to continue this journey of awakening, subscribe to join our community of conscious creators. We're exploring these principles together, supporting each other as we remember who we truly are. Right beside this video, you'll find another exploration that deepens what we've discussed today, specifically how to apply the sacred technique to manifest financial abundance in your life. Click there and let's continue this conversation about the power that has always resided within you, waiting to be recognized. Remember, you weren't seeking these truths by accident. The universe has guided you precisely to this moment of remembrance. Trust the journey that brought you here and trust the path that lies ahead, for you are the architect of it all.